and I'm finding myself in good positions, but I can't convert them as much as I'd like. So I think that's probably the next stage now for me.
Yeah, converting winning positions, that is not easy. A famous grandmaster once said, "Give me every position. I'll play a worse position. I play a difficult position. I'll fight in every position, but don't give me a winning position because I don't know how to handle those." And of course, it's all psychological, but it's a very psychological game.
Yeah.
Anyway, we said we do 2 games. So this is the first one. You were white in this game. You had a rating of 838 when this game was played on the 6th of May 2023, and your opponent was Kolbas Huzar with a rating of 807. And you opened with the E-pawn, as you always do, and D5. Do you remember the name of this opening?
Scandinavian.
The Scandinavian, exactly. And he took, you took, and he recaptured, and now knight c3, and you just win tempo because the queen has to play again. Now I highlight some squares there. The theory says you have to go either to a5, to d6, or back to d8. Those are the main moves that are played at grandmaster level, let's say. But your opponent went to c5, which is a very unusual square. It's maybe not a terrible square, but it's not the best square as as the theoreticians of chess have decided. Well, you just continue with development. Bishop g4, you kick that bishop, h5, and you play bishop e2, developing the bishop and unpinning the knight. All good stuff.
Yeah.
He develops, and you play castling. Now, all good so far. Just one comment here, and I thought about that. Was his next move is e5, and of course that's a very normal move as well, sticking the pawn in the center. I guess I was thinking, how can we make use of that queen on c5? And this is probably would have been a good moment to get your own foothold in the center with d4, with a tempo on the queen. And
well, logically speaking, I was looking at that now. I always seem to see a bit more when I'm not in a natural game environment. But that's the last pawn, really. Get my bishop free. That move is a multi-purpose move, isn't it?
Yeah, and you play it with tempo on the queen, so it saves you some time as well, and it makes it more difficult for him to play e5. He probably has to play e6, which is a bit more modest. Yeah, so this is a good moment to play d4. Yeah, okay. Well, good that you saw it now. Instead, you castled. There's nothing wrong with castling, by the way. He played now e5.
I think when I see the king in the center, I think I like to try as quick as possible to get the rook. Obviously, d4 is much more important than castling, arguably right now, isn't it? But yeah, I've won so many games of just having that in the court, so I just went for that, really.
Yeah, it's not a bad move. Castling is not a bad move at all. It's a fine move, and I agree. In the beginning, I was always telling you to put that king safe, and that still applies. That is not suddenly different because you have improved as a player. That is still important. So I just thought, with that odd position of the queen, I thought, why don't we play d4 and kick the queen? So just a little comment, but castling is a fine move. e5. Rook e1, centralizing the rook, always good when your opponent hasn't castled yet. You never know what tactics you can bring in a position. Knight c6, and yeah, I guess it's time to talk to our pieces here, Aran. And if we talk to our pieces, which piece needs some attention from us?
Bishop c1.
Exactly. Bishop c1 needs to be developed. So how do we get that guy into the game?
d4, d3.
Yeah, probably d4 even, because with the pin. Anyway, probably d3. You can look at d4 if it works, but d3 and then get the bishop out is probably the best way. Yeah, you play bishop b5, and again, it's not a bad move in itself. I just thought, why play with the same piece twice if there's another piece that's undeveloped? He castled queenside, so he solves the problem of the pin of his e-pawn. No, that's fine. And you decided to voluntarily swap on c6. Do you remember this moment, and why did you take on c6?
I think it's just an attempt to try and break the pawn structure. Like I know he can take with the queen,
Yeah,
but just look, a8 is a it's a square that I could probably attack, remove the knight. I thought.
yeah. Well, it is, you won a pawn. It's actually removing the defender, isn't it? Because bishop takes e6, queen takes e6, and you took on e5.
Ah,
Yeah. But I don't know if you saw the sequence. For example, did you swap? Did you see that hangs your queen?
oh yeah,
Do you remember if you saw this? Because you're also attacking his queen, so it's quite a deep move. Knight takes e5, and it wins a pawn, but both queens are hanging. Do you remember calculating all this?
I can't remember this game. I can't remember. I've played a few games. I won't remember. I don't know
Yeah.
if I remember.
Okay. So it's fine. It works. Of course, it works only because you're counter-attacking his queen on c6. Otherwise, he just takes your queen. So he didn't take your queen, but if he would have taken your queen and you take his queen, b takes c6, rook takes d1, and that is okay. You have just an extra pawn. You won that pawn on e5 in the meantime, and at the same time
Yeah,
you've damaged his structure around his king. So this is good for white. I just wondered if you had seen all that when you took on e5, but you don't remember. That's fine.
yeah. Listen, I won't take the credit for it because I'm not sure. Like,
No, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, and that's, I guess, one of the drawbacks of bishop b5, which you played in this position, is that now your knight is pinned again. Yeah. Anyway, it all worked out fine. Let's go back to the game position, because you could take that pawn because you're counter-attacking his queen. He did not take on d1. He played queen e6, and that is well, I wouldn't go to e6. Standing in a discovered attack on the queen, but okay, he chose that square. And yeah, here you have a very nice move, and it's a bit of an advanced tactic. I won't ask you to find it now.
can I attempt to find it? So,
Yes, please.
because I just want to try it. So, right. So I got no. Hold on. No. So I've got no checks. That's what I'm saying. There's no checks. Is that
Correct.
fair to say? Yeah.
That's fair to
So
say.
let's any attacks. So any captures. So I could take the bishop, but it's protected.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't do that. Any other captures? I think it's to do with the rook and the queen and moving the knight somewhere. I'm thinking maybe f7, but then he just takes, so that doesn't make sense. Is there a forcing move somewhere? I really want to try and get this tactic. Can you give me a clue?
Yeah, but yes, but before I give you the clue, what also is important here, that he has just saved his queen from the attack of your knight, but your queen is also still attacked by his bishop, right? So
Yeah,
checks, captures, attacks works both ways. You shouldn't just look for checks, captures, attacks from you, but also from him. And in this case, your queen is hanging. But yeah, we have a very nice. Yeah, it is. How do I give you a hint? It is.
Do I move the knight to g4?
Well, that's what you did, and
Oh,
that is in itself an okay move because it at least saves your queen on d1, and it's attacking his queen on e6. But it's not that forcing that you win material. You had. Okay, I'll give you the move. I won't put it on the board. I'll tell you the move, and you tell me why this is such a strong move. The best move in the position is g2 g4. Believe it or not.
g2, g4. Oh, I never have thought that.
No, it looks bad. Why do we push a pawn in front of our king up two squares?
Yeah,
We don't want to do that, but there is a tactical justification because what does he do? Well, let's put it on the board. What does he do after g4?
it traps the bishop.
Well, almost.
So let's say he. Oh, there's three. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. So he takes, I take, he takes. Does he wins? He wins the exchange, does he?
Well, how does he? Let's look at the line. How does he take first?
Would he take with the? Well, he could take with the bishop or the knight, couldn't he?
Yeah, well, let's take with the knight. Doesn't make a big difference. And we take, and he takes with the bishop.
And then
We
I
take.
take. Yeah.
So you said he has won the exchange. Well, let's do a body count.
So I've won the knight and the bishop, and he's won pawn, and well,
A
that
pawn
was
and a pawn.
yeah.
So it's a great deal for you. You just won 2 pieces for 2 pawns in this sequence. Knight takes g4, h takes. He takes 2 of your pawns, but you take 2 of his pieces. So it's a great deal for white. You have to check that your king is not in trouble because it's completely without pawn protection apart from this pawn. But this is very good for white. So after you remove g4, it's not great for black to take there, right? Because it will cost him too much material. So, but the bishop is not trapped yet. What happens if the bishop saves himself?
Right. So let's say it goes back to g6.
Yeah. And
Then
now we can come. You were earlier looking for some nice knight moves to get the discovered attack going. So do you have a nice move now with the knight?
so if I take the bishop on g6,
Yes.
he
And
saves, and I take the rook.
yeah, he needs to save his queen, and then he doesn't have time to recapture. You just won a piece already. Yeah, knight takes g6 wins a full piece, and he doesn't have time to recapture because his queen is attacked. So you win a lot of material now.
Wow. I think
Yeah.
the first move being g4, I would never have found it because I would never have attempted that. I'd be too scared to.
Exactly, and I completely get that. And normally I would give out to you if you play a move like g4, if you even think of a move like g4, say, come on, Aran, how can you weaken your king so badly? In this case, there's a practical reason because of the specifics of the position with the rook, with the knight threatening a discovered attack against black's queen, and suddenly it's worth doing it. Difficult tactic, so I didn't expect you to find it in the game. Knight g4 also saves your queen and attacks his queen. He saves his queen, queen c4, and now you play d3. Now I like it, and it's again with the tempo on the queen, and your bishop can come into the game. He played queen d4, and you say, thank you very much. I'll win another tempo. I develop my bishop, and I attack your queen again.
Back.
This is lovely chess. Queen b4, his queen gets bounced around, and that's why he's not developed, because he is making too many moves with his queen, which stops him from making useful moves with his pieces. So white is better. He attacks your pawn on b2, you defend it, and he plays a developing move. And yeah,
Do you think it was worth trying to save the pawn on b2, or do you think I should have took on a7?
Good question. Let's have a look. Bishop takes
Pawn,
a7.
pawn, but the position's so much better. If he takes there, okay, I have to defend the knight, which I
Yes,
could
you
do.
defend the knight, or maybe something like queen d2.
But that position, like I'd like you got, maybe the rook one day goes up the file. I don't know. I don't know if I should have took the gamble there.
Yeah, well, I guess the gamble is probably not the right word. You always have to try and concretely analyze the position, which you just did. I'm just looking at a move like bishop b4, which puts a lot of pressure on this guy. And also, but you always have to be careful when you grab pawns on a7. Those can always be b6, and suddenly your bishop is trapped. And he threatens then to pick up your bishop that way. That's a very, very well-known, a very famous Bobby Fischer game where he voluntarily took with black, he took a pawn on h2, and he got his bishop trapped.
Oh yeah, I learned about that.
I might have shown you that.
Yeah, I've heard it somewhere. And then they say, "Oh, Bobby Fischer trapping his bishop." I've heard that somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, they said it a beginner move. Of course, it was not a beginner move. That's nonsense. He had just he thought he could escape with his bishop. It's okay. I'll show you one day. It's a very famous position.
Okay.
So bishop a7, definitely a move. But yeah, you could get your bishop trapped, and he can take on b2, put some pressure on your knight. I like rook b1. You know, even if it's not the best move in the position, it's very solid. I
Yeah,
like it.
to be honest, other than the knight on g4, I'm quite enjoying this position. I think I'm quite proud of it, really.
Yeah, you've played really well so far. Really, really well. Yeah, and he's been messing around with his queen a bit, so you're a bit better here.
Yeah.
Bishop c5, and now we have another tactic, and again a difficult tactic, but I just wanna show you. You took on c5, and that is also okay. But you could have, with a very nice tactic, which is quite advanced, but I'll just show you. You could have played a3, very subtle. And the thing is, the queen has to keep the bishop protected because you're attacking his bishop. So his queen has to keep it protected. Otherwise, the bishop will be taken for free. So he has to play either queen b6. Well, let's start with queen a5, which is the simplest move. Keep the bishop protected. And now you have a fork.
Let me have a look at this ball.
Yeah.
Okay. I get a bit nervous now. Yeah.
Don't get nervous.
Oh yes. B4.
B4. Exactly. Nothing to be nervous about. So thank you very much. I'm forking your pieces and I'm going to pick up a bishop. Okay, so after a3, he cannot go to a5 because of the fork. So he has to go to b6 because he has to keep the bishop protected. And then we have a knight fork.
Right. Oh yeah. A4.
Knight a4. Not only attacking the queen again, but attacking the bishop a second time. So he has to play the queen and you win a piece after all.
You know what, Rick? I can't wait for the day. You know, I'm not going to rush it. It takes time. I can't wait for the day where I can spot these and present in this quality of chess in my own games.
Well, that day will come. These are not easy tactics. These are tactics, probably 15, 1600 tactics or something.
Can I just ask, and I know I'm going off topic here, but just so I forget, you know, in your chess career, Rick, do you remember how long it took you, to start picking this up? Was it a couple of years? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, more than I don't know, a couple of years. Yeah, it's hard to say. I made a bit of a leap in playing strength when I started to study chess. When I bought some chess books and did lots of those sheets. You know, the sheets that I sent you, these tactic sheets. I did loads of them. That was also before. Of course, now also these tactics are available on chess.com and Lead Chess. You can find them everywhere. Back then, it was all in books. But yeah, I did lots and lots of tactical exercises with this type of tactic, and that's when I really made a jump in playing strength. But so yeah, and there's no magic answer. It's just hard work. Yeah. Putting in the effort, putting in the time. It's all about pattern recognition and muscle memory, as they say. And this is it's really harassing the queen so that it has to go to a square where it can be forked. Difficult tactic. I don't as I said, about 15, 1600, I would say. You took on c5, queen takes, and d4. Let's do some attackers versus defenders on that pawn.
Oh, queen and rook, and I've just got queen on my own.
Yeah, exactly. I checked. You played this after 20 seconds. I had a suspicion you might have played it quickly, but you took your time. But yeah, attackers versus defenders. So not a good move. Any better move you see here that you would consider instead of giving away that central pawn?
I'll play queen to d2, trying to get out the pin.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Yeah.
I could play, or I could play knight to e4.
Yeah, this one.
If he takes back, I take with the rook. Yeah.
Yeah. Now here, yeah, and just do you see a fork for black in this position?
Oh yeah, queen to f5.
Well, queen to f5. What is queen to f5 doing? It's attacking two pieces, but they're both protected, right?
Yeah.
So not queen to f5, but another piece to f5.
Oh yeah, the pawn to f5.
Yeah, and that is more serious because it's a lower value piece attacking two higher value pieces.
Man.
Chess is a difficult game, Aran.
Yeah.
Anyway. So with queen d2, I liked your first thought, queen d2, getting the knight out of the pin. That is always good to unpin your pieces. You want to say something?
We should name this video, Tactics Mania, because they're everywhere.
I have to remember that, Tactics Mania. I'll call the video that. Okay, let's move on. We're only 17 moves in. d4. He took it, and you played queen f3. So, by the way, he took the pawn, but you had won the pawn on e5 before, so it's only how do you call that, a pawn swap? Yeah, even Stevens. He took on g4, and yeah, you played instead of recapturing, you played queen f5 check, and after king b8, you played rook b2 d1, attacking his queen. So you haven't recaptured yet. He took your piece on g4, and you've played some in-between moves.
Yes. I just thought that captures there shortly. Let me take chances to bring all my pieces in, I thought.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, very good. Very good.
Be a bit bad.
No, it can be dangerous, of course. If somebody takes your piece, you don't recapture. It can be dangerous, but it's okay here. You calculated well. Queen b4, and now you took the bishop.
Nice. We see. I don't know. I'm scared to say anymore.
Yeah, well, and it's all okay. So an unusual way to swap a piece, because he took your knight on g4 and you took his bishop on h5 with some in between moves.
Yeah.
But it all worked out okay.
Yeah.
Knight, he has to save his knight with a tempo on your queen, and instead of saving your queen, you first took.
Nice.
Rook takes, and then you not only save your queen, you just grab a pawn. Checks, captures, attacks. Let's take a pawn. So quite a fancy set of moves, but it all worked out okay.
Thank you. That's the coffee shop.
Coffee house chess. Yeah.
The coffee house.
Yeah. Anyway, he took on b2. Also grabs a pawn. Oh no, he didn't. Sorry. He should have taken on b2. He played knight h5. Why is that a terrible move?
Well, it hangs a piece.
Yes. Checks, captures, attacks. You didn't spot it, unfortunately.
Oh, didn't I?
Well, a number of moves later.
Right.
But you spotted it, but not now. You played rook e8 instead. Well, that is threatening mate in one, so that's a good move.
Yeah.
He defends his rook. And I guess you could have taken, and thank you for the piece.
Yeah.
But you went for checkmate. You played knight b5.
Yeah.
And it's a good move. You play, this is chess at a different level, not taking pieces, going for checkmate. I like it.
Yeah. Thank you.
He played a6. Terrible move, because now it's mate in 3, and you didn't find it, but maybe you can find it now.
So if I take c7.
With which piece?
Queen.
Of course. Check. Forced moves. King a8 only move.
I then take the rook on d8.
With which piece?
The rook.
The rook. He has to take.
I take.
And thank you very much. And the knight is taking that a7 square away, and it's checkmate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
that happened all because I didn't quickly grab the knight on H5.
well, instead of grabbing the material, you had a brilliant mating attack, and you could have crowned it off here with queen takes c7 check.
And like I said, Rick, at this level, well, where I'm at in my career, my chess, I'm only half right. So once again, I'm halfway there, but can't quite convert it.
But this is impressive. It's pity that this would have been one for the ages if you had found a mate in 3 here. And I guess it's not again with checks, captures, attacks. You could have found it. It's all forced. It's two captures and then mate in 1. Yeah. Anyway, he took on the 8 with check instead. He has to take, and now you took the piece, but unfortunately he can also take your knight, which he had attacked. So you could have taken that piece on h5 and still have kept your knight, but now because of this combination and missing the mate, we're back to even Stevens, material-wise. No, you're pawn up, actually. You're a pawn up in this position. So, but it's tough. Queen endgames are really difficult to play, even if you're pawn up. They're notoriously tough to play. So let's see what happens. I just click through the moves. It's better for white because you're a pawn up. And you stop me if you have any questions or comments.
Yeah, do you think here I should just be just pushing pawns? Sometimes I don't know when to push them, when to not. I don't know. Like,
no, and this is difficult because in Queen they say there are 4 stages in chess: the opening, the middle game, the end game, and then the Queen end game as a separate category because they are notoriously difficult. Because normally, to answer your question, you want to push your pawns in an end game, but with the queens on the board, if you push too many pawns, you might open up your king, and then you get all sorts of perpetual checks against your king. So queen endgames are so difficult. But yeah, to win them, you need to push a pawn. One day you need to push a pawn because the queen cannot do it by herself, and getting your king into the attack is really difficult if your opponent also has a queen. So yeah, the answer is yes, you need at some stage start to push pawns. But when is really tough in queen endgames. For the moment, you guys just keep swapping pawns. So this is very good because it would be great if you can swap the queens, because then you get a king and pawn endgame with an extra pawn for you, and then you start pushing your pawns. You have great winning chances. So black rightly does not swap the queens because that would have been bad for him. And you king b3. Again, offering a trade of queens. You can always try, see if your opponent goes for it, give him the chance to make a mistake. So I like queen g3. He doesn't go for it. More pawns come off the board, and now it's 2 against 2. Now it's 2 against 1. So you still have this is, there's only a handful of pieces on the board.
I would never have tried to swap the queen 6 months ago, but now I know its importance.
Yeah, if you're a pawn up, if you would have been a pawn down, then you want to keep the queens on the board. But being a pawn up, yeah, definitely. So no, that 6 months ago, there's lots of stuff you didn't do 6 months ago, which you're doing now. Some of the stuff you might not even realize. You really have made a huge leap, and it's clear from. I mean, a rating of 300 points higher than it was is huge.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a big improvement. So let's see. And this is very difficult. You're a pawn up, but there are pawns on different sides of the board, and it's actually, in some chess players say, one pawn runs faster than 2 pawns. So, having an extra pawn here is not even that important. It gives more shelter to your king, but this is really difficult. This is such a difficult position, even though there's only a handful of pieces left. It's roughly equal. Queen c4, and now you rightly judge that you cannot swap the queens now, even though you're a pawn up, because then his pawn, this is a bit of a...
if he gets there quicker than me.
Yeah, you might still be okay. Actually, they're equally quick, but you have to be careful with those. Anyway, you decided not to swap the queens. You gave a bunch of checks. Yeah, and this game is equal. Push the pawn, bravely going for the win. Yeah, and indeed here you again interposed the queen. Oh, what happened here? Sorry, you didn't interpose the queen. You played king g1. And that's why, yeah, probably you should have interposed the queen, and then, well, the game goes on. Very difficult. But you played king g1, so he took your runaway pawn, and now it's a draw. And you just gave
what a way to lose a, you know. Nah, but there's some good stuff in there. So
this was a very good game from both of you. So of course we saw some moments where you had some nice tactics. You had nicer tactics than him, but no easy tactics. You didn't miss anything easy. And there was some very fancy play going on, not recapturing that knight on g4 and going for a mating attack instead. And
well, that bishop that I took initially started from a double attack, well, forking the check and then the bishop, and I knew it was going to be there. I made some moves that he had to move his queen, tried to win a bit of tempo, tried to get all my pieces in, because if I took that, my rook's still on a1. I thought, bring the pieces in, that's there, I'll wait for that. And I'm glad that you thought that was a nice little set of sequence there, because I need to take something positive from this as well.
Yeah, this was a very good game. As I told you a few times on messages, I said to you, your games look like real chess now. And this game was real chess. Okay, there were still some strange moments, but every game has strange moments. But you play properly, you play with all your pieces. You really you attacked this king at the right moment. Okay, you didn't finish it off, but that can also happen. And that end game, you offered to trade the queens, which would have been good for you. So you set your opponent. Chess is a lot about setting your opponent problems. And if you set him enough problems, then that's also a way to win a game. You don't have to play brilliantly; just set him enough problems that he will fall over. And in this game, he didn't fall over, which in fairness to him, he played well. You both played a good game.
Yeah.
Anything else on this game before we leave it?
No, thank you.
Well played.
Thank you.